so sorry.
You need a minute?
Oh, man.
Oh,
man.
Okay, welcome back, loved ones. Happy Saturday. This interview came out at midnight last night, so the first thing that I did was sleep, because I don't lose sleep for John Paul Miller, but for Mica, I owed it to her to see what this guy had to say. I quit the whole TikTok tuning in thing pretty much ever since my last release because I could smell from a mile away some bullshit. My opinion was that was a tactic for attention, and as far as I know, he did nothing but bait everyone. He put out 3-minute pieces of content to win the reactions, and when he got people tuning in and he got all these reactive responses, the games began. It went exactly as I thought that it would. The attention came off the real victim, Micah Francis, and became John Paul Miller's spiderweb, which infuriated you if you were tuning in. 3 minutes of your life that you'd never see again, am I right? So all those TikToks have suddenly come down. They are no longer. So today, since John Paul Miller decided to take off his superhero gear, put on his big boy pants, and do a national television interview, I decided to tune in. That in mind, there is a substantial amount of evidence against this guy. He's abused many people and has not been held accountable. Micah Francis, time and time again, did everything that she could think of to get out of this marriage and was failed tenfold by her community, her husband, the church, Dr. Randall, the police, and many more. So it's to my knowledge and belief that her family, the Francis family, were amongst the very small amount of people, like the only group of people in all of this that believed in her and they supported her. I'm sure for them, it was like being up against an army of 300, you know, this little family and their very loved daughter and sister, Micah, you know, just trying to help her out because Micah was not protected from her abuser in game. So sure, let's see what he has to say for himself. I have not seen the interview. Today I'm watching it for the first time. I'm writing my thoughts and I'll present as I go. So here we go.
And while there's a paper trail from here till Sunday that documents the couple's turbulent marriage, the GPS trackers that JP put on Micah's car, her tires that he allegedly slashed, and, oh, right, that topless photo of Micah that he reportedly posted online.
Whoa.
One indisputable fact remains, and it cannot be forgotten. John Paul Miller has not been formally accused or charged with anything related to Mica Miller's death. Micah was 30 years old and had been living apart from JP for more than a year when she got in her car in Myrtle Beach on April 27th alone and drove to a pawn shop where she bought a gun and ammunition. She made another stop at a gas station, and then she drove to the Lumber River State Park in North Carolina, right across the state line. And it was there that she dialed 911, telling the operator exactly what she had planned for that Saturday afternoon in the woods and where exactly they could find her body.
Why now? Why the decision to speak now after all this time has passed? Where's your head at?
Well, I think a part of it is I finally got the approval of my attorneys to do so. They, the ones working on the defamation cases, they said it's easier to win a defamation case the more the people talk. And so they've been collecting a lot of evidence over the past while. And also I think that now that some of the emotion has died down in the world and with people that are led by their feelings, I think now they deserve to hear some logic and some truth and make their own assessment. So.
Do you miss her?
Yes, sir.
Tears? Really? He knows that the media has claimed he hasn't cried once since Micah died. Mr. Tough Guy over here pretends to weep like a little baby. Y'all remember when he did this on Justin on TikTok, this interview? That was your first clue that he was feeling out what the people wanted in order to see him as the ultimate victim. He exited that interview real fast as soon as he was seeing what people were writing about him in the comment section on Justin on TikTok.
So, let's see what else. Anyway, Justin, was talking to you. Nice seeing you.
I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and answer a few questions, and we'll be in touch.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Justin. Have a good night. Good night.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
That's insane.
This guy, ever since, had been all over the place. To the beach with women, getting close with Susie Skinner, and went for the throat on her family with such a cocky, arrogant declaration to blame the Francis family for Micah's death. I noticed at one point he came for you, the audience. saying how stupid you are if you didn't agree with him. Like, he's been this whole time trying everything from being God
Whoa.
to raise Mica from the dead to being your friend, the guy with the key to all the answers that you're wanting in justice for Mica, to being a womanizer, and finally to an angry, superior human wearing superhero outfits to, just now, a mourning husband.
Did you see this coming?
Yes, but it doesn't change at all the power of the pain of reality. I saw it coming for years. I told them for years this would happen over and over. I said, if she gets off her medicine, suicide is the next thing. And she tried it in the past, but with me, she always remained okay with me. She was on her meds with me. She was healthy and happy. And even if she did get low or stop taking her medicine, I would help her get back on it and things would be fine. Without me and with her family, she's off meds and she committed suicide. And I told them this would happen over and over again. I tried my best to stop her from getting a gun.
How can someone know how someone else will die and what weapon they will use? How could you know that? Mica was blacked out on her wedding day for medication. She took off walking down the aisle to marry JP, forgetting her father at the door because she was so doped up from a surgery that JP denies that he encouraged her to get for his sexual gratification. Also, JP has a history of losing control when it comes to dosing himself on his own medication long before Mica ever did.
Y'all, I'm sorry I'm making y'all watch this.
God, that's a big old zoom right there.
God bless them. If it's a neighbor, God bless. It's the close-up for me. It's a zoom in for me at the end.
This guy sat in the grass like a little mouse, weeping, blaming medication, saying fire ants were biting him. And so now he's going to be the hero of the day?
Brandy, thank you for subscribing to the TikTok page. Very sweet of you. Thank you.
And say that Mica was nuts off her meds and that without meds she would kill herself? I'm pretty sure this is just a built narrative.
I have copies of all the police. I talked to her counselor, the pastor she was going to, her family, her friends. I told them all, don't let her get a gun. Do whatever it takes, prevent her from getting a gun. And when she was with me, she was never able to go that far. But with them, that's exactly what happened, and it destroyed me. And I still haven't really grasped it. Like, it hasn't. I kind of keep putting off the reality of it, and I try not to think about it as much as I can.
What was going on in your marriage the week Mica died?
The week she died, we didn't talk that entire week. I'd emailed her several times that week, and my regular emails are sending her letters telling her that I love her. And she came over to the house. The last time I saw her was a few weeks before she passed away. We spent about 4 hours together, and we hugged and kissed, and she was in and out of psychotic conversations. She would say, one thing about double agents that are following her. That was one of the phrases she would use when she was off her meds, double agents. The other phrase she would say, she wants to come home so bad, but her family won't let her. She told me she wanted to live in Africa and asked me if I'd live with her. I said, sure, if you take your medicine,
So wait, you'd give up your bread and butter, your congregation, to go to Africa for her mental health? Really? You emailed her you loved her? Because I have this email right here that says that you took her Africa mission trip away from her and you were ready to get rid of her, divorce her. Right before Mica died, in her knowing about this trip, he said, hey, Mica, I hope you're doing well. I'm ready to be done and move on and heal and find a first lady who won't treat me the way you are. I really hope you do great things. I was willing to do anything. I even had the amazing desire to have kids since you're not on meds. And I want to apologize for the flowers and fruit. It was already paid for to last until your birthday. Feel free to give it all away. I sent that to you before I found out all the things that I have recently found out about you and what you've done. And you disgust me. So please, let's meet soon and be divorced and let this nightmare be over for me. I'm enjoying all the Africa missions, and Pastor Jumba and all the pastors' wives are so excited for what we're doing. Weird.
She told me if I'd give her some money and if I would write her a letter saying certain things in this letter that she would take her medicine. And so I tried that, and but she desperately wanted to come home. She was just so afraid her family would disown her. And so the week before she passed away, I probably emailed her maybe 7 or 8 times that week just saying, I love you. You need your lithium. Don't forget who you are when you're on medicine versus who you are when you're off. She had lost 40 pounds in a month, and nobody that it was in her life thought to take care of her. Nobody. She was living with a former registered nurse. Her family, quote unquote, were taking care of her. She lost 40 pounds in 1 month, and no one thought she needed help. She was talking about living in Africa. No one thought she needed help. She's making videos on Facebook, and if you see the videos, you know it's not her because she has a different cadence, a different tone, a different amount of words per minute when she's healthy and on medicine than when she's off. And the way she was even looking into space when she's taking those videos, you knew she was delusional. And if somebody loved her enough to take her to a professional and say, okay, this woman says she's being abused, or this woman says, you know, this, or she's lost 40 pounds in a month. If someone thought, I need to take her to a professional, that professional would have known that she needed medicine.
She didn't need a professional. She needed him to get away from her. I know that look that Mica had when she spoke on her videos. And you guys have heard what I went through. Like, she was deep in thought, in my opinion, and made perfect sense to me. There was nothing delusional about what she was saying. In fact, when he alleges that she tried to be suicidal before, was she on meds then? Like, I know that he says, oh, I only knew that she was coming off her meds secretly, you know, kind of behind my back, knowing that I wanted her to take them to spare her life. And I could tell that she would get suicidal when she would come off her meds, because that was the sign that she was thinking about suicide or killing herself. And so I knew.
Dear Lord, entertainment and educational purposes only, TikTok overlords.
Knew she had been off her meds. But if Mica doesn't have a proper diagnosis, and that could mean from Dr. Randall, you know, because he had faith and trusted JP Miller so much, you know, like, who knows? Nobody's really seen where she was diagnosed. So listen, if Mica got diagnosed from someone within JP Miller's community, I'm not so sure that we could trust that. And if she didn't, then where is the evidence that was promised to us on where she was actually diagnosed from? Because to me, if somebody was doing JP
Cecily, thank you. Another one. So sweet. You guys are the best. Thank you.
a favor, you know, or just taking his word for it. We know he's a smooth talker. He admits it himself. If they did that and she wasn't properly diagnosed and she was put on the wrong meds, or she didn't need them, then that alone would have messed with her mind and her body. I think we're all still waiting to see that evidence on where the diagnosis took place. Who did it?
And the reason I know that's true is because I took her a few weeks before she passed away. I took her to probate court, and in 3 minutes time, she went in, she walked back out. When I went in, they said, your wife is mentally ill and she needs medicine desperately. And I said, okay, let's do it. Let's get her the medicine. Let's get her help. And they said, she's not a danger to anybody in society, so we can't force her to do it. But if one of her family members or friends had taken note of the way she was acting and seen what was happening to her physically and taken her to just one professional, they could have saved her life.
Where were you when Mica died?
It was on a Saturday. I was in Charleston with about 100 people from my kids' school.
What was it?
Oh, soccer. It was a soccer tournament.
Okay, so we know, you know, I've gone through Mica's last day, pretty much almost down to the minute. Bring us through your last day. You said soccer. Do you have any documentation that they were there?
Oh, you're asking because, okay, I got you. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I can't believe people. Oh, my Lord. So, yeah, I was with about 100 people. We had dinner that night. We were all together at the soccer fields that day. Afterwards, after the soccer game, somebody was with me the entire time, who I can't name due to legal purposes, but I will say it's somebody that I love more than anything else on planet Earth.
Man or woman?
Young person that I cannot name due to legal purposes, but somebody that I am responsible for and love very, very much. And that person was with me, and we went shopping in Charleston, and we got food in Charleston, and there's all the receipts from that throughout the time. I think we might have gotten gas too, and then made it back to Myrtle Beach. And I was just actually looking today at emails that I sent her that day. I sent her 4 emails that day, and I just noticed today that 2 of those she wasn't able to read because it was after it had happened.
What do you think happened that day?
So, according to what she's tried to do in the past, and according to her doctors who have taken care of her for years, and according to me who's seen it over and over again, I imagine that she was in an incredibly euphoric attitude. I saw her pictures on the Dick's Pawn Shop. Someone sent me screenshots of the Dick's Pawn Shop pictures where she's smiling, which out of the 6 or 7 times that she tried to commit suicide in the past, only one of those times was she depressed. The other times, she was very euphoric. And she would wake up and say, I think I'm supposed to die today. And I said, no.
Oh, my goodness.
No, honey, you're not going to do that. She said, well, my mind tells me that I'm supposed to kill myself. I said, we're not going to listen
Debbie, thank you.
to your mind. We're going to take you to a doctor and get you help. And I discovered, of course, that she had stopped taking her meds each time. But either way, she was in a euphoric attitude. And so you see the Dick's Pawn Shop video where she's wearing her work clothes and with a smile on her face. So they sold her a weapon, and then I assume that she drove. She told one of her best friends. So far, the four people she spent the most time with every week, no one's interviewed or talked to those four people. And one of those people that I talked to told me that she told her 2 years ago, if I ever commit suicide, I'm going to go to this place in Lumberton, the state park or something like that.
Which friend is that?
I probably wouldn't want to name her because I saw this friend one time here in public for 30 seconds. And of course, Robbie S. Harvey, as usual, got somebody to take a picture and destroyed the girl's life, brought up her past and horrible things about her. So people are scared to tell the truth or to talk about the good things of Mica because of the social media.
Oh my God. He just had to jab Robbie Harvey. It wouldn't be an interview if he didn't. Of course. I kind of wonder if this was the girl with the tattoos that he was seen on at the beach. I mean, he says he didn't see her past 30 seconds, but it just, who was that? Now, this is really well thought out if he did participate.
I forgot about that.
In this crime. He's got alibis like it's another day, says he emailed her several times despite a divorce proceeding coming up. And at first I was like, oh, I think I caught him in a lie. And the lie that I thought I caught him in was this. JP had texted Charlotte about Mica's death because Mica had been near where Charlotte lived. That state park that she took her life in was next to where her really good friend Charlotte lived. And so JP he had reached out to Charlotte and he was letting her know, and then he was checking in with how she was doing. And then he said something that Robbie Harvey was like, I think I cracked this case. What he said was, I thought when she was over there that she was over there to see you, which then indicated that he had her followed or he had some way to track her. But now he's coming up with this new kind of friend that he ran into for 30 seconds that then admitted to him, oh yeah, by the way, if she were to ever take her life, that she would kill herself.
Dear Lord.
Right where she killed herself. But he won't tell us who said it. And he says in that 30 seconds that Robbie Harvey was able to send a photographer there and capture a photo of that girl in 30 seconds in that random half-minute time. So it kind of makes it look like he's covering up his lie of knowing that she was over there to begin, because that's what he texted Charlotte. He
Brittany, this is Chelsea J on YouTube.
said, I thought when she was over there, she was coming to see you.
So this friend says that Mica told her, if I'm going to take my life, I will probably do it in Lumberton River State Park.
She told me that after Mica passed away, but she told me that Mica told her that 2 years ago, yeah.
Did she say why? Why that location?
She said because Mica told her it was peaceful and outdoors. And Mica did love the outdoors, loved the outdoors. Vacations were outdoory vacations because that's what she loved. But so
Has she ever been there?
No, not that I know of. Not ever that I know of.
Do you guys have any connection to that area?
Not at all. I never
Have
even
you ever
heard
been
of
there?
Nope. I've never even heard of the place. I never even heard of, what's the city? Robinson County. I've never even heard of there.
So did it strike you as, before you heard this, did it strike you as odd when you heard that where she went and what they say allegedly happened? Did you question it at all?
Well, I didn't think it was real. I thought her family had made it up and had somebody call me and say that. So that's one big thing. I didn't think it was real. When I found out it was real, you know how like you tell somebody something, you tell them, and then when it happens, you don't want to say I told you so because it's a horrible thing. That's what I felt like. I felt like I told y'all, like I told her family this so many times you can't imagine. I told her friends this. I told everybody. I said, if y'all don't get her lithium, she's going to commit suicide. Her doctor told her this on paperwork where her doctor said this. And then when I get the call, I felt like the world's biggest failure because I spent the past 3 months when her family got her out of the hospital and didn't bring her home. And her dad talked her into buying him a car and all this stuff was happening that was all crazy. I made a vow that I was going to do something every single day to try to get her back on her lithium and save her life. And so every day I did.
Whoa. Jason, good to see you. Thanks, man.
Something. Sometimes I did 4, 5, 6, 7 things. Some days it's just one thing. But every day, whether it was an email, a text, visit someone, talk to a family member, talk to a friend, go somewhere, go to a judge, go to probate, I'm going to do something to save her life. And I spent every single day for those 3 months doing that. So getting that phone call made me feel like the world's greatest failure. I was against the whole world because everyone told me that it wasn't true and that I was making it up and that whatever they were saying. So it was me against the world for 3 months and I failed.
Also, if this unnamed friend for a 30-second conversation knew this about Mica and Mica has now died, if this was Mica's good friend and this person exists, why didn't this person say anything? Why did this person who would know Mica to be suicidal, because that's what JP says, everybody knew she was suicidal Except the Francis family. Why didn't the friend say something? Why would the friend wait and say, hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Yeah, just want to let you know that's where Mica was going to kill herself. But I didn't know that. So make it make sense. And yet here we are, not addressing the abuse. It wasn't the medication, in my opinion, that made her feel like she needed out or was being followed. It was him really not leaving her alone and having her followed.
What was the call, and who was the call from, and what did they say?
Man, it was a man. I got a call, and it was I think it was a detective, I think. And I remember him being very calm and very nonchalant. And so that's why I thought, well, this is not real. And so I started screaming. I had a family member that was there with me. I started screaming for them to use their phone to call the hospital where the guy said she was at. And my family member called the hospital and said it was real. And I still didn't believe it. And so I called a police chief that I know somewhere around here, a captain or somebody. And I said, there's a detective named such and such on the phone telling me these things. Like, is this real? Is this a real person or not? And that person told me that it was real as well. And I just remember, screaming really loud and throwing up everywhere. And
What did they tell you?
I remember throwing up. Did I have spaghetti that day? It was a lot of throw up. It was something red.
Oh, hell no. Letting us know what you ate and threw up does not make us believe it more than we already do. You know what would have helped was not getting together with women right after Mica died, not blaming the victim who perished. Nobody gives a crap what he ate.
It was something red. I'm sorry?
What did they tell you?
I don't remember that. Oh, no, I don't remember that.
But you remember what came out and what color it was? This is crazy.
Hold on. I don't remember what he said.
Well, he came to this interview and he knew these questions would be asked. This is a tactic to get us to think about him being a victim. What his vomit looked like, how he screamed, how he thought it was a lie from her family. But regarding the phone calls and the people he spoke to and what really got said, it's all very dimmed under this big shadow of his alleged reaction to learning that Mica had died. So right now, we can't really see anything else that's happening in the moment that he got those calls other than what he tells us. And what he's telling us is that he was mortified by the news. This was my reaction. This was how it affected me. And I think what I ate was red. So it psychologically is supposed to pull us away from the importance of this interview today and get us to remember how much he suffered and only know what he tells us. This is about him being the victim and suffering, not the information about Mica's death.
My family member called the hospital and spoke to, I think, either the head nurse or medical examiner or somebody. And that lady read me stuff that the Robinson County, I guess, had wrote on a piece of paper. And she was reading me suicide and the weapon and where it.
Lord have mercy. Entertainment and educational purposes only, TikTok overlords. I know y'all gonna be reviewing this thing, AI and everything, whatever. We're talking about a true crime case, TikTok overlords. Literally every video that I've posted for the last 2 weeks, they're like, you can't do that. And I'm like, yes, I can. Unbelievable. Entertainment and educational purposes only. YouTube, hit the thumbs up button too. Let's get 200 likes. Come on, y'all. Hit the thumbs up button for me.
Was at and all these different facts. And so then because the detective would not tell me it was suicide. And then I called him back and told him what the hospital told me. And he was pissed off and asked me who that lady's name was. And I didn't know her name. And if I didn't know, I wasn't going to tell him anyway, because I'm glad she told me anyway. And so, and I said, is this stuff true? And I can't remember if he said yes or just hung up. I don't remember.
Do you remember what he said though?
Oh man, I don't remember at all. If I try to enunciate it, I'll probably be making something up based on all the crashing of everything going on. So I can't tell you for sure.
Did you ever question the findings that the authorities gave to you that this was suicide?
No, I mean, I'm not a detective. I watched Scooby-Doo growing up, but that's what everybody seems to be acting like, is they're part of the mystery machine. But my Lord, like, let my wife, let her be at peace. Like, she's in heaven, She's not worrying about all this stuff. Let her rest. Let her memory rest.
Sounds like she is worried about this kind of stuff. It sounds like her family is too, and that's why they want this Mica's law to pass, is because they don't want people to forget about it and just let her name just fade away.
Suicidal tendencies over and over, year after year, off medication especially.
Answer the question, JP. He doesn't answer the question. Circular talk is a tactic. Anytime he doesn't answer the question, that's what that is.
One of the things that raised eyebrows initially for the public was when you gave a sermon here and you announced publicly that she had committed suicide. And you talked about, you
Leslie, thank you again.
attributed to her mental health. Why did you feel the need to come out with that at that moment?
That's a great question. So first, let's discuss why I preached that morning. Is that okay? Okay, so people have been asking that. So have you ever taken any psychology classes or anything like that?
Very few.
Okay, yeah, I haven't taken any. So I would love to find a book or a psychology professor or someone that could tell me the correct response when you spend 7 years trying to keep someone alive by just taking a few pills that their family tells them not to take. Then when they don't take it, they go into a hospital, their family takes them out, and then you spend 3 months trying to get them help when her family's telling them that you're evil and the bad person. And then it finally happens, the thing that you've been dreading for 7 years, then you're trying to prevent for 7 years, then it happens. I don't know what the correct response is, right? Am I supposed to stay home and cry? Am I supposed to go out with my friends? Am I supposed to go to a bar and drink? I don't know what the right thing is, right? As a pastor, should I just get on my knees and pray? I mean, I want to die in that moment. And so the next morning, I remember thinking, okay, if I stay home, I'm probably going to kill myself. I'm probably going to just go to heaven and be with her and be done. Because I need to be around people, but I don't want to be around people and come to church if I'm not going to preach, because then I'll be judging the guy that's preaching the whole time. And I can preach just as easy as I can breathe. So I'm just going to go in the mode of what I'm normally going to do and just continue my life normally until I finally have to deal with what's going on. And so I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know the right response. I wish somebody had told me, in hindsight, if I go back in time, I probably would have done the same thing and still preached. And then the sermon was about leaving your legacy and the people you leave on earth and your memory that's being left. So I thought maybe that's God. Then I thought, you know what, Mica would want me to preach. That's exactly what she'd want me to do. She'd be telling me to do it. She'd be trying to force me to do it. So I preached. And then at the end of the sermon, when I made the announcement was made. And of course, I'm not in a clear thinking frame of mind. I mean, it's like, it's not like I'm, kumbaya and got it all together. I said what I said because I didn't want them to think that it was because she's a bad person, or I wanted them to know, like, if Mica does anything that's out of character, it's because of her mental illness. It's not because of her. Like, she's a wonderful woman, full of integrity. When she's on her medicine, she's black and white, does the right thing, does not like the wrong thing being done. Off medication, she's a totally different person, and I didn't want them to see her as someone that was bad. I wanted them to know it's just a sickness, like if you have heart disease or if you have, diabetes or whatever, a mental illness, you need medicine to continue going forward. And so that's why I said that.
Also, something I found interesting in that moment, you said, before I tell you this news, I'm going to paraphrase here, I'm going to tell you this news, and I want you to leave. I don't want you to stand up and talk about it. Why?
That's a great question. And that was actually intentional, because the last thing I wanted to hear was people talking about my wife. I wanted them to go up and take it to Jesus before they start, doing what some Christians like to do and just chatter. And I didn't want to experience the extra pain. I didn't want to be mad at somebody in my church because I heard them say, well, I'm not even going to guess at what somebody could have said, but I didn't want anybody to say anything negative about my wife.
I think there was the chance that JP Miller was used to attention. So he preached. And if they talked about Mica's death after church, then the attention would go from him onto that. Just like how the attention all along needed and should have been on Mica and her death. And yet he did everything in his power to get it focused on him through public appearances, TikToks, and more. I don't believe him now because he lost credibility with me and still continues to even through this interview. Just because he cries and wears a suit today does not mean that he has changed his ways of thinking about any of this. He still thinks he's a victim. He still hates Robbie Harvey. He still blames Mica's family. Can't give us promised evidence or answers. So far, I have not gotten much more in this interview than I have in any interview he's ever done before.
Another point of concern, let's say, for people watching, was when you gave a eulogy. Was something concerning. People said that was concerning that you said that you tried to raise Mica from the dead. And I believe at another point you said you laid next to her body in the morgue. Is that true?
I didn't lay next to her body. I mean, I couldn't, you can't lay next to her because her body's up on this thing, but I mean, I hugged her and I sat on the floor, next to her and just talked to her for a while. But yeah, I tried raising her from the dead because you know what? If it had worked, we'd have a whole different story, but God forbid me not try it and always wanted the rest of my life, would it have worked? Right? Jesus did it. Elisha did it. There's a few other people in the Bible. And so, yes, if somebody I love more than anything in the world has passed away, what I believe to be an early death, you better believe I'm going to try to, in Jesus' name, raise them from the dead. I believe in healing. I believe in miracles. I believe in the raising of the dead. I'm a one God, apostolic, tongue-talking, holy roller, born-again, heaven-bound believer in the liberated power of Jesus' name. I'm not ashamed of it.
Would you characterize your relationship with Mica as healthy?
Oh, man. We had...
Damn. That's a laugh, isn't it?
When she was on her medicine, we had the greatest marriage you could ever imagine. We spent every day together. I don't know any other couple that spends every day. So we wake up, well, she'd kind of wake up before me, but, we'd go work out together every day, 5 days a week. We eat lunch together every day. We would work together every day. We'd pick up the kids, do stuff with the kids every day. We'd go to dinner every night together. Then every night we would have our routine. So there's 3 things we would do. We would either sit in the bathtub together for 2 hours until the water went from steaming hot to ice cold. She bought this big air mattress we'd put in the back of the truck, and we'd go park somewhere here in Myrtle Beach where there's no lights, and she'd bring us some hot chocolate, and we'd lay on the air mattress for 2 hours. Or we would go out on the beach with our beach blanket and lay there for 2 hours. But the point was, no cell phones, just her and I. She would talk 90% of the time. I would talk 10% of the time, and I would just listen. And so every night, 2 hours, we'd hang out together. And so was our marriage healthy? It's probably as healthy as any other American marriage.
No, it's not, bro. If my husband guilted me for visiting my family member, hence also breaking the "we hung out every day" statement that he just made, then it would not be the American marriage. It would be abuse. And vice versa. If I hooked up with a dude or a woman or forced my husband to do that in front of me, knowing that I had an addiction to it, he would leave me. Because there are statements in the Bible that say we are to love each other as Jesus loves us. And yet he skips all of that. Like, he doesn't answer to any of this. He doesn't talk about loving Mica in the way that the Lord would have wanted him to. Instead, he just declares the craziest thing you could think of. Well, if Jesus could raise somebody from the dead, then I might have a chance at doing that too. It's nuts.
That is
Have you
crazy.
ever abused your wife?
Never, not once in any way, shape, or form. I took better care of her than anybody could ever take care of her. I never asked her to clean the house, not once in 7 years of marriage. She never had to cook a single meal. She never had to work. She was never harmed physically in any way.
In a letter or in an email you wrote to Mica, you apologized.
Yes.
Right? You apologized for tracking her, for messing with her tires, for posting the picture. So that's all true, right?
So great question. I'm so glad you asked that, actually. If I wanted to lie about that, I would just say I never wrote the letter, right? Because how can you prove that I wrote somebody a letter? There's no signature, there's no name, it's not in my handwriting. But I 100% wrote the letter. And I did it because the night that she was with me, the last night we were together for 4 hours, at one point, because the whole 4 hours I'm trying to get her to take her medicine. And then she's saying, my family doesn't want me to, they don't want me to come inside the house. Maybe it's your house, come inside. So finally we get to the point, she says, you know what, I'll take my medicine and I'll come home if you'll give me $10,000 and if you'll write me an apology letter.
So let me understand this correctly. The email that you wrote to Mica, apologizing for hiring a PI, tracking her, messing with her tires, and posting a topless photo of her. You wrote that, you say,
yes,
but
sir.
now you're saying that you didn't actually do these things.
I did the PI thing, but so over the years, what I've learned with her is when she's in a delusional state of mind, I have to play into it in order to get her back on medicine. So the first year,
That's Shutter Island. I keep saying it. That's literally the plot of Shutter Island.
when she'd say something, I'd say, that's not true, that's not real. She'd get mad and blow up and, knock a hole in the wall or something like that. So then by December 2019, I think it was, we were watching TV and she just stopped and said, "You're a double agent." And I said, "No, I'm not." She says, "Yes, you are." She said, "And I'm going to call the police." She said, "You're a double agent. You've stolen my things, and I'm going to put you in jail." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, what do I do?" She hadn't been taking her medicine.
So just to be clear, you wrote this to Mica, but now you're saying you didn't do those things.
No, I did not slash the tire. I did not. I don't think there's a naked picture of her anywhere ever. Anyway, I think that was just a made up thing. And I think that her tire just got something ran over, from what I understand. I don't know. I didn't see anything. But I did hire the PI before. I did everything I could to stop her from getting a weapon. Everything you could imagine. I hired a private eye, and I said, put a tracker in her car, and if she gets anywhere near a gun store, please let me know. I did everything I could think of. And
did that private eye alert you
she never,
that day?
No, I had stopped paying for it about 4 weeks beforehand. Yeah.
Why?
Running out of money and people telling me that she was totally fine and I'm wasting my time.
So what do you say to the doubters and critics who say you drove her to suicide?
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. So wait, she wasn't with me. Because listen, with me, she didn't commit suicide. Apart from me for 3 months and with her family, she did commit suicide. One of the last things she showed me a book she's reading called I Love Jesus, But I Want to Die.
Whoa.
And I said, why do you want to die? She said, because I can't come home because my family won't let me. That's what I say to them. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You need a minute?
Oh, man. Oh, man.
What's tripping you up?
Just being able to tell. Just being able to talk about everything. It feels like that people don't care to hear the truth. They just want to go off of feelings and believe whoever screams the loudest rather than whoever has the proof.
Well, no, wait. He's the one who's crying. I'm just kind of sitting here, not in my feelings, but trying to find the truth in all of this. I'm still waiting for the truth.
Do you feel that you did anything that you would change? Do you feel any part responsible?
God, that's a great question. Man, that's such a good question.
Whoa.
Wow, what a good question. Can I have a second to think about it?
Sure.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. What would I do differently? Oh man. I know what I do. I would not involve her family when she's having mental episodes and is schizophrenic and is off her meds. I would never have texted them.
We've seen you dressed as Spider-Man in videos.
Okay, let me just wait, hold on. I'm not Spider-Man.
In your
I can either
in your
confirm or
text
deny.
to me.
Not this part again.
It says Spider-Man as the person who's texting me. So we've seen you in videos dressed as Spider-Man. We know there's a Spider-Man character in the back of your house somewhere. Her family wonders if you have identity issues and this need to align with superheroes. What's your reaction? And what's the reason for the Spider-Man?
Well, first of all, I can neither confirm nor deny that I've ever put on a Spider-Man costume. But you'll never see me in the same room with Spider-Man, I will say that. And I don't know, people say stuff. Me and Micah would go to...
So you don't get in the Spider-Man costume? I mean, you just sent me a picture with you and Spider-Man.
Me and Micah, we go to Comic-Cons every year. We both dress up. Micah dressed up more than I did, actually. There are times I didn't dress up, and she did. We love that kind of stuff. She was Wonder Woman, she was Spider-Woman, she was Mystique, she was a lot of different characters.
Notice how the host is kind of taken aback by the Spider-Man costume incident. And then when JP picks up on that the host is not amused, he's like, why would you do that? That's when JP brings Mica's name into it and says, well, she did it more than I did. So anyway, we never get an answer about his identity crisis in relating to superheroes. Like, he just skips that. So
Whoa.
Circular talks his way out of answering that.
So you're not even going to grant that there's something odd here?
No, I'm not. No. I put on the Spider-Man costume. I go see handicapped children. I'll go visit kids that, love comic books and that are handicapped, and I'll pretend like I'm Spider-Man, and I'll take them a comic book and do videos with them and stuff like that.
One of the videos that has surfaced recently is from years ago, and I'm sure you know what it is. You're sitting face down on the ground and you're freaking out, and you're talking about, you're literally squealing about being eaten by ants, taking the wrong meds, that you missed your family.
Is your medication something they gave you?
I mean, for viewers, for people watching it, the common thought is, what is going on here, and do you have a drug problem?
So I fell out of a tree, a giant magnolia tree. It was like 300 years old. I broke 12 bones.
Gotcha, JJ.
It was 10 10 to 12 bones. I don't know if you count finger. Yeah, it's count finger. Anyway,
Whoa.
I have all this metal in my body, and I'd never taken pain meds in my life, and I just had my body cast taken off, and so I took a little bit too much pain meds that day.
That's it.
That's
Just
it.
what? Percocet?
I don't remember any of them. It was 2017, 2016, and it was like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever, and I was missing my family. My wife, Mica, and I, we started through an affair, and so we were both married to people, and then we got divorced, and I was missing my family because I'd lost my family at the time, and I was on pain meds, and it just all went together.
Word has it that he did that
Whoa.
when he was trying to win his ex-wife Allison back. Also, how do you not actually know the number of bones you broke if you had surgery for it?
I fell out of a tree, broke a bunch of bones, took too many pain meds. That was that story.
Not hallucinogenics.
Not what would hallucinogenic be?
Make you hallucinate.
Well, what makes you hallucinate?
Drugs.
Like illegal drugs?
Hallucinogenic drugs, yeah.
Oh, I've never
Oh my word.
done illegal drug my whole life.
Okay.
Well, oh crap, that was a lie. I'm sorry, that was a lie.
Oh crap. Oh crap. Oh gee, thank you for hitting that one, y'all. Appreciate it. Let's go.
When I was 16 years old, one time I was in a truck with two of my friends, and they were both smoking pot. I didn't smoke any, but they do a thing called hot box, and so I got some of that. And I tried steroids one time.
Well, that's the tea, folks. Did you see anything about evidence in there? I mean, he's promised it on recordings. Like, at this point, he's just going to make a lot of promises, and then he's going to drag it out, and it's still going to be the promise to come. But really, the reality is there isn't anything that he's willing to show. I'd be surprised if there was. So did you get anything more out of this interview, or let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below.